That'll be sufficient.
Yeah, that'll work.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little blurry, though.
You know why? Because...
Big Puddle of Mud fan?
It was the zoom when it's really far in.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a little bit of focus issue.
Okay.
But we're focused now.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to do 3, 2, 1 and pretend like it's professional. How's that
Okay.
sound?
I'm on it.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a random movie review. First one we've done in the car with Dan.
Yeah, I've never done one of the car reviews.
Well, you know, you've been invited, but it just doesn't happen usually.
Yeah, well, and also, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's a little crowded.
Well,
so I'm like, I don't need to voice my opinion when there's already 6 people chatting.
It's usually not that bad, but we did have 1 or 2 occasions where there were like 7 people in a car.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
And I mean, to be fair, it doesn't have to be that way, but I modeled myself after this other guy, Brad Jones, that does a lot of them in the car. Okay. But then again, usually it's 3, 4 people max.
Yeah.
But
you have like a clown car going.
Sometimes.
There's like 10 people.
That only happened like 1 or 2 times, but they're having a few ridiculous ones. But anyway, we saw Sicario too.
Yes, now, Day of the Soldado or something.
Day of the Soldado. Yeah. A little bit of background, because I don't think I talked about it on my channel ever, but on Film Fanatics, we reviewed it a couple years ago.
Yeah, the first Sicario, I think it was 3 years ago, I want to say.
2015 probably, yeah.
I mean, we all loved it.
Yeah.
I gave it an A, my top, I think, 10 of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You, I think maybe a little bit less, but still quite high.
I think it was like a B+ or an A-, something like that. I really liked it.
Yeah, I liked it the most of the 3 of us.
Definitely.
But I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Loved it enough to see a second one, but I have to say, even when I heard about it though, I never thought that it was a movie that would get a sequel, because it didn't really seem...
It didn't warrant one.
It seemed like a very standalone-ish story.
Right.
And, I mean, I don't know. I kind of... All right, I don't really care too much about plot synopses, but basically this one is a sequel to the first one, following the Sicario hitman, who's kind of a rogue.
Del Toro.
Del Toro is the rogue agent. Following him again. This time he's working with Josh Brolin, a.k.a. Thanos, and Cable.
Who he was with in the first one.
Who he was with alone in the first one. A bigger role in this one, though. He's going to be the, the special forces guy that's going to go in. They're going to abduct the daughter of the mafioso, cartel leader guy that was responsible for Del Toro's family's death. Mm-hmm. And they're planning to start a war with the cartels, but that doesn't really happen because they just kind of...
Sort of fell apart.
It fell apart, and then everybody attacked them, and then they have different ideas about what they're going to do and separate, and it's a rush to get back to the border. And there's also a subplot about this young kid that is going to be transporting people across the border for the cartels.
Sicario in training, basically.
Sicario in training, and then he kind of overlaps with the story, and that's pretty much it. It's I mean, I guess I'm on a roll. I'm sorry.
No,
but
totally
do you mind if I go in?
Go.
Well, that was a pretty simple synopsis. Yeah. Because it's a very simple plot, and I would argue that there isn't really much story, which if I had to say there was a big issue I had with the movie, it's kind of that. The story, there was definitely more of an investigative, cultural investigation with Chastain's character in the first movie. And, Blunt. And, yeah, I get them mixed up sometimes. Yeah. But Emily Blunt's character, she was kind of the relatable character for the audience to kind of see how she's trying to do things by the book. And we see how horrible the cartel is, and then we see what the government's going to have to do, what the Sicario is going to have to do to really break the rules, and how horrifying it is, and that constant clash of morals that she had, which I think was the most interesting aspect of the first movie. Yeah. There was definitely...
Absolutely. It was the most memorable, and the thing that set it apart from many other movies in this vein.
And you're right, absolutely, is that they showed that, and it wasn't a very clear cut, and that's kind of what made it so shocking. I remember we first went into it, they had that first scene of just like that whole house, spoilers for the first one, of just people, the whole house stuffed with mutilated bodies.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That was more horrifying than most horror movies.
Right.
Like, that was such and the whole movie is dark and disturbing and tense like that.
Yeah.
This one, it felt like they dialed that back a lot, and you aren't as afraid of the cartels, and at the same time, you had that character who was still grounded and trying to do the right thing. You cared about Blunt's character.
Right.
this one, even the good guys, the Sicario and Brolin's character, they're really not meant to be good people. They're kind of almost as unlikable as the cartel.
Yeah.
And they kind of make Brolin have this little bit of a shift where he decides to play by the rules a little, which I thought was kind of random weak because he starts off being like, for a minute, like, oh, you know, I won't. I'll go back on this a little because we're corrupt too. But then I'm like, okay, so cartel's bad. You know, we're bad. The girl who we're supposed to care about, our first scene is her beating somebody up and acting like she's better than everybody else. Cause
I was not very sympathetic towards her from the start.
I guess I care about Del Toro's character because he still wants vengeance, but he is less interesting. Everything is like the first one, but a lot less interesting, a lot less going on. And the pacing, there was a whole lot of nothing. I was actually going to nickname it the Day of the Soldado.
Okay.
And also, I didn't really care about the subplot with the kid at all.
Yeah.
I hated him. But I will say, it was still pretty well shot. I thought the acting was good. There were hints of good ideas and themes there. And I really, there were snippets of things, like when they are coming across the deaf guy.
That was cool.
That scene was good.
That was an interesting couple of moments.
That little insight about his character came learn a little bit more about his daughter. There were snippets of good things there. Like, I kept saying the one's going to be this big moment that's like, where's the first Sicario's of thematics, you know, and characterization, and it never got there. And the first one I thought was very good. This one was like, okay. That's how I looked at it. But what do you think?
Well, and of course, you know, as we said, I'm a bigger fan of the first one, you know, a little bit than you were even.
Oh, absolutely.
I loved it. And, you know, here's the thing. For one thing, I actually said, right before I was coming to see this, I said to my boss, I was like, you know, because she had never seen the first one. And I was like, oh, I'll loan it to you. Like, it's great. But I was like, I honestly don't know how this is going to go without the Blunt character.
Yeah, Blunt.
Because like you said, and first of all, it is a very Chastain-y type role.
I guess
because she did the Zero Dark 30.
I think
it's less of a typical Blunt role, so I could see why.
Yeah, maybe for some reason I would say that. I've seen Chastain in similar roles, but Blunt, I'd like her too. But, I like them both.
They're both
similar movies. Sometimes
a couple of our favorites, really, of the new school. But you hit it right because, and I said that because I think Blunt's character was the most interesting part about the first one.
It was her story.
It was her story. And so you take her out, and it becomes a much more generic and watered down version, you know, of the story.
Yeah.
You know, so a couple of things I can say that sort of differentiate from you, because I echo pretty much everything that you've said.
Thank you.
You know, so not to repeat ourselves here. When I think about the first Sicario, there are instantly 3 just indelible images in my mind.
Okay.
And this is, you know, I saw it one time 3 years ago.
Same.
And they still are as vivid right now as they were when I saw the movie. First one is what you mentioned at the beginning of the movie.
Opening scene.
And really, you know, that whole scene, like, you know, her throwing up, you know, just that whole thing.
Yeah.
Indelible. Number 2, when they come into Mexico and the people are literally hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, the dead bodies everywhere.
Oh my God. Indelible.
Yeah.
And then number 3, spoilers, I guess, is when Del Toro
the revenge
makes a trip, let's say, to the breakfast table.
Ooh.
Or maybe it was the dinner table. But
dinner
anyway,
table, yeah.
Whatever, the kitchen.
The dead people table now.
Dead people table. So those 3, and I was with you, like, the whole movie, I was thinking to myself, where is that moment? I would have taken one moment like that in this movie, let alone 3. It just didn't have it. And I think part of the issue is the directing. I forget the name that even came up on the screen when we were walking out.
Fairly new
person,
but
it wasn't Denis Villeneuve, who we love from Arrival.
It was not.
And what was the other one? Enemy. The Prisoners.
Did he do the new Blade Runner as well?
He did the new Blade Runner, yes. And he also did that Annihilation that I didn't get to see. Did you see that at all?
I did see Annihilation. You know what? I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I really loved it, but I'd love to hear your take on it because I
didn't get to see it actually.
I know.
That's I want to see it.
If you did,
I think he did that one too, didn't he?
I think it's a rival, but it's a bit darker. But I think that's
okay.
It. Probably.
So he added this really just stamp on that first Sicario with those images and with the whole storyline with Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, we just didn't have any of that. I thought Catherine Keener, who played the boss or whatever, that was a throwaway.
Yeah, well, and I thought they were going to do something with that later, but it
never came back.
That's what I'm saying. All the plot lines just kind of like fell short.
I'm with you. The kid, Sicario in training, wasn't that good. There was a part in the middle of the movie that sort of related to him that you and I were just riffing on ideas for the podcast, and you made the comment like, it's probably not a good sign that we're talking about other things while this movie's going on.
It's mostly those scenes where they had people going somewhere in the helicopter or driving on the bus.
And this one was with the kid, on like a mission. It's like it didn't even need to happen. The other thing was, and you mentioned this more, I think, in the theater than you did here, but they didn't know when to end the film. They could have had this really solid ending at one point that I thought would have been bold.
I liked that one.
And they chose to keep it going.
Are you referring to the truck?
I'm actually, that would be one too.
I would
say even before that.
Because the thing before that would have been bold. Spoilers?
It's your channel.
Spoilers. You're talking about when he gets shot.
Yeah.
You're right.
When he gets up.
That was silly. We were like, we couldn't quite take
it. You busted out.
Well, I mean...
It would have made so much more of an impact.
Like, wow.
If they killed the damn Sicario.
They killed the main guy. I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but that sticking to the realism,
right.
That would have been more like the first movie. Like,
yes,
he gets taken out.
Yes, and the fact that didn't happen, it lowers my grade.
Well, it kind of...
I can't lie.
Did you think it kind of shifted things for a little bit there? That's why I was confused a little bit if it was him, because, like, when he's always, like, cool, calm, collected.
Yeah.
And then when that's happening, he's like, I don't think his character would do that.
I don't think so either.
And then he gets shot, and I'm like... Well, that's weird, but it's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
And then they have the other scene where he does get back up, which I thought was stretching it a little, but whatever. He's a badass.
But okay.
We'll let it slide.
He's a wick.
He's a wick. He's on his way, I guess, to take on revenge or something.
I guess.
Like a final shootout.
Right. And
I'm like, all right, he's going to die.
Fine.
But then... They cut to, like, he could have clearly just died on the road. I'm like,
right, and then they didn't do that either.
But also bold, okay, he didn't make it.
Right.
The war goes on,
Correct.
I
would have been fine with either of those. I think, unless they're trying to make a franchise out of this, Sicario 5 down the line, I think it would have been... 5. I think it would have been a bold choice to kill the damn Sicario.
But clearly they want to make more sequels. But this is what I'm talking about. And I know some people have been arguing about the whole franchise. We've talked about this. Feeding into everything. Everything must be franchisable.
Right.
Sicario was a great standalone movie.
It didn't need to make a franchise.
If you're going to make a sequel, I like your idea. Like, it might not be perfect, but hey, kill him. He doesn't achieve his goal. He's human.
Right. But see, by that point, you've got the daughter that knows what her dad did.
Yeah.
Then you've got Brolin, who's also on the side of the Sicario. So it's like they could have still enacted the revenge easily. So it's like you don't need Del Toro to exist at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I thought Brolin was just going to like do his own thing and take them out that way or something.
Yeah. I thought that would have been another way to go. So yeah, for me, a pretty big decline.
Big decline.
I really, really enjoyed that first one. This one just didn't have many of the things that made the first one great.
No.
I thought. I agree the acting was good. Del Toro was good. I did like the death scene. A couple of scenes, I should say. That was fine. But like we pointed out, the vending machines in the one scene had no food in them.
Which that a statement?
It had to be a choice. What's the choice? There's no funding. That's the message.
Symbolic
of.
But
they don't reference it.
at all.
It's just like in the background, there's just these empty vending machines, and you wonder,
maybe did
the director forget to fill them with things? Or this
a budgetary thing. Don't bother filling them with fake food.
Right. This is the budget of the organization saying, that's what the message here. Look, this organization's so bad off they don't even have food for their vending machines.
So
but it's
that's what is that trying to say?
Right.
I don't.
Because it's in the scene after Keener says hey, we're shutting it down.
Which means, okay, that's the sign, they're not feeding people.
Right.
But it's kind of funny, the minutia of office,
it's just
politics.
Weird, yeah. I'm sorry, if it gets shut down, they don't call the vending machine company isn't the first call. Hey, Lou, you gotta come get the chips out of the vending machine.
Secretary of Defense is okay, the whole drug invasion, we're cutting them down, the war on drugs. All right, we're cutting it off, but first thing, make sure the vendors don't get our snacks in.
That didn't jive with me.
It's the first call.
Listen, I'm interested to hear your grade because I bet it's actually going to be higher than mine because I like the first one so much more.
Well,
or do you want to hear mine first?
No, I gave my review first. I'll get my grade first.
Yep, fair.
I was starting I'm hoping for a B. Mm-hmm. I'm just teetering on a B- throughout most of it, but I can't say that I thought it was great. I don't really ever want to watch it again. It's okay. I gave it a C+.
Okay.
I think okay.
I was B as well for the first half hour. I was okay, let's see where this goes. Don't care about the kid plot line. This girl's kind of a jerk. But okay, let's keep it going. Let's see what we're doing here. But it kept going downhill, and then the ending after ending, it was just disappointing. It's a C for me.
A C.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you liked the first movie, you might go see this, but you could definitely wait for it or not see it. I don't think.
Yeah, honestly, I think you'd be better off.
It detracts from the first movie.
I think it. I don't know.
Really.
I don't know if it detracts from the first movie, but it definitely. It makes me hold the first one in even higher esteem because this is just not that good.
Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, I never want to watch it again.
No, I think it's best to pretend it doesn't exist. It doesn't add anything, really.
No, it doesn't. And it would be different if it was a fun series, like the Red movies, for example.
Yeah.
Red didn't need Red 2, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Or even... Listen, we'll review this in a few weeks, I guess. But even Equalizer, it's kind of a fun... It is a revenge movie, and it's an action movie, but it's fun. The Sicario movies are supposed to be dark.
Grounded in reality.
And all
rough,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay to make a 2 for something like that, like an Equalizer or Red, where it's a little more silly, but this didn't add anything good to the first
storyline. No,
it really didn't.
Not really. Yeah,
disappointing.
I'm glad. It was an enjoyable time watching it. Yeah. As a thing to do.
And I'm glad I watched it with you because if I watched it by myself, I would have been annoyed. Well,
we were
angry.
I was trying not to riff it because we watched it with a friend that kind of riffed the first one a little oddly, but this one, I was they were making jokes in the movie. Brolin had
a couple of bits,
little bits about haha Mondays. Don't you hate him with pulling bullets out of himself?
Right.
There was some a little more
nice
levity.
day to go for a drive when he's on the.
What's your view? All sand path. Here, it's Mexico.
Right.
Haha. So I don't know. There was some of that, but yeah.
First movie didn't have any of that.
Not really.
Very serious.
Yeah. But hey, other Brolin ones are good.
Yeah, Brolin's already done 2 this summer that were great. Infinity War and Deadpool 2, so...
Do you think we'll get a third one? You said this movie's doing well.
Yeah, it opened above expectations, so I don't know. I suppose it's possible. Like you said, everybody wants a franchise.
If they gave us more about that kid and fleshed his character out a little more, maybe I would care.
Maybe. But if the third one's about him and even further with his training and... as it appears to be from the closing scene of this film. I'm not interested.
Small detail, but with the editing, there was a random time jump at the end, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah, the 1 year later was weird.
It was I barely almost missed it, but they go to a couple different locations. You notice they said Kansas City, which by the way that diverts from that was trying to match the horrible first scene. Nothing to do. That messed up their message.
You're right.
That was
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah. Mom was dumb, by the way. Walked towards the guy with the.
That was unfortunate. Well, I guess she was trying to get out of the building, but I would have. I don't know. I would have just ducked and covered. I guess. Hard to say until you're in it. I guess.
I guess, but
seemed like an odd choice.
But they said Kansas City where that happened. I kept wondering which Kansas City because there's a couple.
I guess that's true.
That's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
But lights are out, so
let that be the cue.
We'll cut it off. We're ranting at this point, but hey, man, thanks for joining me for this.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always, Merlin.
All right, wonderful, and I know we might be doing some Marvel-related things with you.
Yep, Marvel stuff on my channel soon.
Disney stuff.
Many other things, yeah.
And some more character stuff. Check out the
actor stuff.
The Michael Keaton discussion we had on his channel, so I'll put the link in there for this one. Okay. But enjoy, guys, and don't see this movie. I don't think so, right?